Herzlich willkommen beim 35. DocFest München. Herzlich willkommen bei DocFest at Home 2020, der Online-Ausgabe unseres Festivals, wo auch immer Sie uns zusehen. Mein Name ist Moritz Hohlfelder. Ich arbeite als Filmkritiker für den Bayerischen Rundfunk. Wir freuen uns sehr, dass der Film Hope Frozen von Eileen Wedell Teil unseres Programms ist, eine Produktion aus dem Jahr 2019, die wir beim DocFest als Deutschlandpremiere zeigen. Bevor wir mit dem Gespräch beginnen, möchte ich noch darauf hinweisen, auf den Publikumspreis, der auch in diesem Jahr wieder gestiftet wird von BR Kino und Dreisat. Dieser Film, um den es jetzt geht, Hope Frozen, ist auch vom Publikum als der beste Film wählbar. Nähere Infos gibt es wie immer auf unserer Filmprogrammseite. Now, hello, Eileen Wedell and Nina Ichas, the editor, the editor of the film and the co-producer and the co-scriptwriter. Hello.
Yes.
Eileen is in Bangkok.
That's right.
Yeah. Your film, Eileen, Hope Frozen, is about a family in Bangkok, in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2-year-old daughter, nicknamed Eins,
Yes.
dies on brain cancer, very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
Now the father and the brother of the little girl think about a new technology that promises the chance of being born again. Mm-hmm. How did you find this family?
So I normally work as a journalist, and so does my husband. And my husband is American, and we saw the story of this family go viral on Thai morning talk shows. And we thought, oh, this could be a daily news story, because she was the youngest person in the world to be cryopreserved. And so it's actually my husband's idea to go and do this story, and he invited me along to help translate because I'm Thai, and so I went along first just to help him out. But actually, we thought we were going to be there for 15 minutes, and what actually happened was, as we started talking to them, we talked to them for hours, because the family really thought really deeply about, what is life, what is death, their philosophy on love and reincarnation. And so all these themes of Buddhism and rebirth and faith in science and faith in religion all came out. And I thought, wow, this is really touching and also quite fascinating as well, as we all grapple with how technology is escalating and advancing at such a fast pace. And so that's my very first meeting with them, quite unexpected.
It has been when? Some years
ago? This was 5 years ago now. So it took us 4 years to finally get the film out, and we still need to get it out publicly. It's doing the festival rounds this past year, and hopefully we'll have some news about public distribution soon. And so it's now been a full 5 years since I met the family.
A long time.
A long time, yes.
You said it before, the little girl in the film, Eins, becomes or has become the youngest person ever in the world, I think till today, to undergo cryopreservation. And that means after her death, the family sent the girl's body to an American lab, and her head and brain, sounds crazy, now rest deep frozen in a cryonic tank in Arizona. And what can you tell us, perhaps you too, Nina, about this weird, I think, or great, I don't know, technology?
Yeah, so this technology, let me start off with that at the moment, we're talking about cryopreservation. We're not talking about reviving anybody.
Yeah.
So it's just the preservation part. And
Yeah.
Both mom and Eins's mom and father are hold PhDs in medical engineering. So they're quite sciencey people.
Yeah.
So they really think that the technology will be advanced enough so that one day
Yeah. It will
that
be
she can
possible.
come back in
Yeah.
some shape, way, or form. Now, where we're at the moment is, even the level of preservation is currently not agreed on by scientists that the brain can be 100% preserved in this way. So
Yeah.
it is currently unproven. That said, what the family believes is that, technology will be so good that there will be some sort of mechanism that would fix a lot of the damage that the current technology might have done to her brain, enough so that she can come back in some way.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of rebirth and faith in technology really is a huge theme, obviously, in the film. And Nina really kind of brought it out through the way she's cut. I'll let you talk about it, Nina.
Yeah, please.
So,
Thank you. Yeah, that's what really fascinated me when Pai Lin originally contacted me. Was it 2.5 years ago?
Oh, yeah, like 3 years ago.
when I became part of the project, was the very beautiful themes where you combine religion and science, and it's about faith, and it's about hope. It's about, praying just in case she will get into heaven, and preserving her brain just in case science will advance as much. And we certainly tried to bring that out, both in of course, the information and in the film, but also in the visual language of the film.
Yeah. The dream of the father in the film is that his daughter will be born again, a rebirth of her, and perhaps a rebirth inside a regenerated or another body. That's the dream or the vision. Do one of you both think that this will be possible after doing the film, or is it, yes, a dream, a nice dream, but not realistic?
They haven't put a time limit on, when this will happen. And I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be possible. I'm not a scientist. I'm a filmmaker. So what I can do is, just kind of, we did interview a few scientists, and some do have faith that the technology will get there one day, maybe thousands of years. Some really don't think it'll ever get there. Some are really skeptical. I would say the majority of scientists are skeptical about the current way to preserve her. But honestly, I have no idea. I don't know.
But in the film, you're not judging about it. So it's kind of open, or? Yeah,
both Nina and I were very much on the same page about this. I think there are plenty of documentaries about cryonics out there that really portray the people who subscribe to this as being really kooky and a little out there. And I think that really changes when you're talking about your daughter and a little girl. And I think that, they were thrown into the spotlight unexpectedly, and their story went viral. It wasn't something they chose, and suddenly the whole country and now the whole world is judging them. And people, I think, have the right to grieve any way they want. When you lose a child, I withhold my judgment. And I think the way Nina's edited it, and the way I shot it, or me and the DOP choose to shoot it, really comes in a non-judgmental way. We present the information, and we allow you to emote with the family, and for you to think about it, and ultimately, you decide.
Yeah. Nina, how was it for you to edit the material? Had you a kind of a visual idea, or?
It was extremely interesting to dive into the world, both the scientific aspects of it and the family story. For me, the question about if she's going to be revived isn't really central in the way in the film. It's definitely a story about love and about this family.
And about loss.
About loss and how far love can reach beyond anything than you can expect. So it was a very interesting subject, and I think both Pailin and me, we spent a lot of time on the scientific aspects of the story, but in the end, the film that was made, we focused more and more on the family, because that's at the core of it.
Yeah. The film is a mix of personal footage of the family, which they shot with handy cameras or video cameras. And then there are the scenes you shot, or you both shot with the professional team. The mix of the both, the footage of the family and your scenes, how did you manage it in editing?
I was not part of the shooting process. I'm just going to correct you there.
Okay.
Well, I think one question that was quite interesting that we addressed at the very beginning was how to use the family's material.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of it and they were very willing to let us use it. It was like a home archive of things they wanted to remember about her, but a lot from her illness as well. So right off the bat, we had the biggest discussions with Pailin together, how we want to present this child who has passed away, how much to show of her suffering. And I'm a firm believer in the human rights of dead people as well, and not using somebody's suffering as an effect. So we made a very clear decision in the beginning to limit the amount of images that we actually show of her being ill. And I think that was a good choice for the film in the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Seeing the family, isn't it for her the greater problem, I think, as a spectator, not to accept the death of her daughter?
Mm-hmm. So what's the question?
Did you see it also in such a way, or is your film
I think, after spending now, I still am in correspondence with them, about 5 years with them. And also, I started the film 5 years ago, so I also have grown as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe the first thought that I had, that this is a resistance to acceptance. But now that I've matured it a little and understand the family a lot more, I think I realized that people have very different ways of grieving and of remembering people. I think some people want to visit a tombstone, and some people collect photos, and some people keep people's Facebook pages alive. And different people have different ways of remembering their loved ones. And I think this is kind of their way to go back, to have this thought. Some people think their kids are in heaven. This family thinks that their kid will come back. And in Thailand, because we believe in Buddhism, this idea of reincarnation as well. So it's actually not that far off, believing that she might come back in the future through technology versus reincarnation. It's not that different from what the rest of the country believes. So I don't, again, one of the reasons I'm fascinated with the story is because I did go in with judgment. I did go in as a journalist thinking this is a story that, and after talking to them, they were able to change my mind and looking at this issue in a much more nuanced way. And part of that is letting go of that judgment. And I think yeah, I don't know if this is them not accepting or if this is just their own way of accepting. I have no idea. And I think your judgment on that depends on how you were brought up, what your religion is, and what your parents told you as a kid, and how you understand death. So I think that answer, whether they are accepting death or not accepting death is going to be different for each person.
What does the family think about the finished film? I think they saw him.
Yes, they've seen it. So the very first time we had the premiere here in Bangkok, I invited the family, and they invited 30 members of all of their relatives to come. So half the theater was all their family, and it was the first time they were seeing the finished film. I had showed them a non-color graded version, a first cut version of the film to the family first. And the only comment they had from there was thank you for staying. And there was so much sensational news about this family that I think they were just grateful that somebody was there and tried to understand where they were coming from as family that uses science to a scientific way of thinking, or a faith in science to make a lot of their own decisions in life. And they also, after seeing me struggle with the funding process and with filming and seeing how long of my life I spent on this, they were kind of congratulating me. So they were like, this is great, this is fine. They didn't really, I don't know if they liked it. I'm sure it was very difficult for them to watch the whole film, reliving a lot of that old archive they hadn't seen in years. And but so I don't know what their personal feelings about it, but they promote it on Facebook. They didn't give me any comments. So they're a supporter of the film, but I don't know what their critique of it would be.
Hope Frozen is a very fascinating film and touching film also, because this form of grief in the family is really very touching. It's about rebirth and technology, also about death. We have to die all, and suffering and grief. How do you experience in this circumstance the corona crisis in the moment? Has it to do for you something with your film or not?
I haven't thought about that, actually. I think, gosh, I would have to ponder on that for a little bit. I think certainly there is this, I don't know. I think, for this family, I think maybe personally, I have a more pessimistic view of the world because of the coronavirus. And maybe if this film were made during the coronavirus time, I would be a little less optimistic about science and future. And I don't know if that would affect the film, because I try to do the film in such a neutral way. I don't know. In Thailand, we're not as affected as a lot of countries are. So we're not, we have about 8 cases a day and about 50 deaths for the past, 3 months. So the trauma and the death hasn't really hit us in the same way. So in terms of the lens of this film, and if I would have changed anything or what I think about it now, I don't know if it affects it that much. And in fact, actually today this week we started opening up. We can get haircuts and go to the market and things like that. So it almost seems like it never happened. Yeah. I don't know about you, Nina. Do you feel like our film, I don't know if
I was actually thinking similar things to you, that it has to do with the optimism and maybe this bright-eyed idea, this almost childish idea that science can save us and that we are so smart that we can fix anything, we can fix death. And we're faced with something, and I, for one, and I know many of my friends and family, we were thinking, you know, this is what it is, but there'll be a vaccine. Someone will fix a vaccine. But then suddenly you start to understand what that means. That's a several-year process. It's not like someone is just going to suddenly hand you, you know, there will be a letter in the mail saying, come this time, we have the vaccine ready. It will take very, very long. And that puts the family's optimism into a different perspective as well. And the fact that they're willing to wait thousands of years for her possible return, but they do believe that humans are smart enough to even fix death. I'm not so sure anymore.
Okay, thank you. You too, in Bangkok and Berlin. Good luck for you, and good luck for your film.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We wish we were there.
Yes.
Hope Frozen von Pailin Wedell and editing Nina Ichias, also co-producing and co-script writing. Steht noch bis 14. Mai, also nicht bis zum Ende des Festivals, bis zum 14. Mai beim DocFest at Home zur Verfügung. Vielen Dank.